Hello again, folks. It's not an understatement to say the future of competitive swimming was at stake this week. FINA, the sport's governing body, was faced with the question that had dogged it for months. Should transgender athletes be allowed to compete at elite level events such as World Championships and Olympic Games? Well, FINA has now decided they can't. Starting today, transgender women will not be able to compete against biological women at international meets unless they have transitioned before the age of 12, which most of them wouldn't have been. If they haven't, there is still another option available though. A new open category will be created so transgender athletes can be included. Precise details are still being worked out. On balance, this all seems to be a fairly reasonable outcome.
We have to protect the rights of all our athletes to compete, but we also have to protect competitive fairness at our events, especially women's competition.
In the end, it was an easy majority too. 71.5% of FINA members voted in favour of the ban after taking into account presentations from athletes, scientists, lawyers and a human rights group. Evidence submitted showed that going through male puberty gave trans women swimmers a physical advantage that remained even after hormone treatment as part of their transition.
It is my hope that young girls all around the world can continue to dream of becoming Olympic and world champions in a female category, prioritising the competitive cornerstone of fairness.
Australian Olympic swimmer Emily Seebohm says female athletes have been too scared to speak up about the future of their sport, fearing whatever they said would trigger online backlash. But now she is relieved the sport can proceed and everyone has a lane.
I am happy that there's finally been a decision made and we can all move on. Like, we can all just go back to the sport that we love and enjoying it and know that we're getting in the pool and it's going to be a fair level playing field. Like, that's what we want.
Not everyone's happy though. American swimmer Lia Thomas, who was the face of the whole debate after she became the first transgender woman to claim a national swimming title, will now not be able to compete at the Olympic trials for the Paris Games without the backing of FINA. She recently gave this response to a question on Good Morning America about her advantage over rivals.
There are some who look at the data and suggest that you're enjoying a competitive advantage. What do you say to that?
There's a lot of factors that go into a race and how well you do. And the biggest change for me is that I'm happy. And sophomore year, where I had my best times competing with the men, I was miserable. And so having that be lifted is incredibly relieving and allows me to put my all into training, into racing.
But Lia Thomas is in the minority when it comes to competitive swimming. FINA spokesman James Pearce confirmed there are currently no transgender women competing in elite levels of the sport. Swimming isn't the only sport at the moment to go through this. Just last week, the International Cycling Union tightened its rules and increased transition periods. This after rugby union, a contact sport, had already taken a stance. It took the position that transgender women cannot play women's rugby because of the size, force and power producing advantages conferred by testosterone during puberty and adolescence and the resultant player welfare risks this creates. Basically, it decided the risk of injury was too great. The debate on this is still new. Science about advantage is contested. Even the IOC doesn't really know where to stand. Recently, it changed its framework to say transgender women should not be required to reduce testosterone levels to compete in the women's sport category. And it says there should be no presumption that trans women have an automatic advantage. But as for final decisions, it's ducking that one and leaving it up to the individual sports to decide. Thanks for watching. To support this channel, please like, share and subscribe below. I'll see you next week.